Pica Poco Kitchen. Today we're making stuffed peppers, chiles rellenos. Vámonos! Chiles rellenos is a dish that in my opinion gets easily overlooked. I think it is because it's not attached to a specific holiday or celebration, and because we have it fairly often, so we don't give it the respect and honor that it deserves. Its delicious quality relies on its simplicity, with only a few ingredients, one of them being Poblano peppers. Poblano peppers have a unique profile that enhances anything that you put around them. So even if it's just cheese and a simple tomato sauce, your dish is going to be high up. With this dish's versatility, your imagination can go wild, and you can fill them with whatever ingredients your heart desires. So, let's get to it. Before we move on with the recipe, we need to prep our peppers. Here are all my poblano peppers, all washed and dried. That's step one. Then we have to do two things. We have to skin them and we have to de-seed them. And how are we going to do that? The classic way to skin them is by putting them over fire. If you have a gas stove, you can do that. Just put them over your fire, turn them around, make sure they get nice and blistery, then put them on a plastic bag or in a container covered with a wet towel, wait for 10 minutes, and easily you'll remove the skin. Having in mind that poblano peppers have all these curves and nooks and crannies, you can rub them with oil before putting them over fire, and the oil will help transferring the heat to those difficult areas. That is the most common way to do it. Talking about oil, some people want to do it super fast, and what they do is that they deep fry the peppers. Once they're out, all the skin is going to be blistery, so they're going to be easy to peel. By doing that, you're removing the aspect of smoking, which in my opinion, it brings a lot of flavor to the final dish. That's why that's not my preferred method to do. Another way to do it, if you don't have a gas stove, or if you do but you prefer to do it on a safer method, would be with a comal or a pan, high heat, put them there and flip them over until they're nice and blistery. Let them sweat and peel them. Any method that you choose will work just fine. My preferred method is the least work possible, which is by oven. I cover all my peppers in oil, put them on a baking sheet with foil in it, in the oven, 400 Fahrenheit for 8 to 10 minutes. Take them out, let them sweat, and peel them off. And that's what I'll be doing today. When it comes to the seeds and the veins, normally people make sure to skin the peppers and then take out the seeds and the veins. But there's a little problem about doing it that way. When you charred or when you fried or whatever method you choose to deskin your peppers, the flesh of the pepper is going to start cooking. It's going to break down. Therefore, it's going to become softer and a little bit more fragile. So you have to be extremely careful when removing the seeds because you are in risk of breaking it, which wouldn't be a problem if you're using the peppers for a cream, a soup, or just the rajas itself, like little strips of peppers. But in the case of filling them, we don't want to break them. We don't want to compromise the structure of the pepper. So what I like to do is remove the seeds and the veins before skinning the pepper. That will help me have more control of moving the pepper without having the risk of breaking it that much. So I'm going to show you all of these tips up close, and I hope they will work for you. So let's start, because we have some work to do. When it comes to buying the poblanos, you're gonna find that there are two shapes. One with three faces, like this one, which is supposed to be the female and is supposed to be sweeter, and one with two faces, like the flat one right here. And that's supposed to be spicier. In all honesty, just like in life, it all depends. But I do find that the three face one is a little bit better for filling, but it really is not a big deal. What I'm gonna do to de-seed them is I'm gonna cut in the shape of a T, one near the top and one following the vein or the line right there. You'll probably encounter the vein, so you have to also make a cut or slice the vein off so you can open the T a little bit better. You'll see just right there. Once you do that, you can see that the little cluster of seed is right there. So you're gonna use your knife and carefully cut the top of it, what is attached to the pepper, trying not to cut all the way through. And with your hands, just pull it out with as many veins as you can. Some of them are a little bit tougher than the others, so then you can just go back with your knife and get rid of the ones that you think are still too thick. And don't go too crazy with the seeds. If some seeds remain, that's just fine. It doesn't gonna make a big difference. Just try to shake them and empty them as much as you can. Continue doing that with the remaining of your peppers and you will be done. Trust me, this is the best way to do it and the easiest one. I hope it works for you too. Try not to go as crazy as I did because I did ended up messing up one pepper and also making teas that Mr. T would be proud of. But like he said, he will pity me because I was a fool. Moving on, here I have my baking sheet covered with foil and I have my peppers laying there. I'm gonna drizzle them with some neutral oil and rub them real well. I'm also taking advantage of the tray to roast the ingredients for my tomato sauce, some garlic, onion, and tomatoes. Another thing to mention is that after 10 minutes in the oven, I did take out my peppers and they weren't ready, so I flipped them over and left them in for 5 minutes more. So it was 400 Fahrenheit for 15 minutes total. And to create the perfect sauna for my peppers, I'm gonna put them in a bowl and cover them with clear plastic. Please set an alarm for 10 minutes. If you leave them longer, they're gonna continue cooking with the steam, therefore become softer. And if you are clumsy like me, you're gonna end up breaking them. So don't do that. Now you'll see how easy it is to remove the skin. You can just lightly scrape it with a knife and then with your fingers you're gonna see how it starts coming off. Do that carefully with all of your peppers. If you actually left them just for 10 minutes, then do cover them and do one by one, preferably in the order that you took them out. If not, no big deal. But just have that in mind. I left mine open because, as I said, I left them for longer. But look at this, isn't this satisfying? Go around your pepper and don't drive yourself crazy trying to get every little piece of skin. You're gonna be fine, just like I was breaking that one a little bit. So here they are, and now they're ready to be filled and coated. So let's move on to that part. For my peppers, I'm going for a classic cheese filling. I'm using a very nice mozzarella, but you can use any cheese of your choosing. Fresco would do, Oaxaca, Gouda, whichever you want will be fine. As you can see, I went wild with my peppers and opened them way too much, but don't worry, they're gonna be fine. First, we're gonna coat them in flour. I like to do this step all at once because the egg coating, it's a bit peculiar. and you have to be fast for that part. So have your peppers with the filling and the flour ready before moving on. For the egg coating, we're gonna whisk the egg whites until soft peaks, and then while whisking, we're gonna add the yolks that I've already beaten. The ratio is 2 peppers per egg, but the important thing is to do the eggs last once your oil is already hot. Dip the pepper in the egg mixture and coat the back of it really well. Don't worry about the top because we're gonna come back with a spoon, preferably not a spatula, and add more egg mixture on top of it. Try to work this part fast but carefully. Don't worry about the shape just yet because we're gonna come back with the spatula and the sides of the pan will help shape it and make a better wrapping around our egg. As you can see here, once you flip them, try to flip them next to the edge of the pan so you can use it as a shaper for your pepper. If you have a lot of peppers to coat, don't whisk all your eggs at once. Do it in batches of 4 max. Evenly fry your peppers both sides, and when they're ready, let them rest in a plate with some paper towels. If you wanted or needed, you could do all up to this point one day ahead. When cooking my rice, I'm gonna use my cheat version of doing red Mexican rice. In all honesty, this is the way that I use the most because in the end you achieve a more consistent result every time you do it. And that is because instead of using the tomatoes, I use tomato paste. Then I have more control on the amount of liquid, which will be only in the form of my chicken broth. I don't have to worry on how to adjust it depending on how juicy my tomatoes are. So, if you want to give it a try, it's totally worth it. It saves your sanity. But if you want to do it the proper way, I have a short video on how to do red Mexican rice on my shorts in my YouTube channel. So check that out too. This is a cup that I'll be using to measure my rice, and I'm telling you this because it will be relevant later. In some oil, fry onion and garlic. Add your well-rinsed rice. I like to use basmati rice, but traditionally extra long is the one to use, so you are welcome to use that one. Now the tomato paste. I like to do these little packages of tomato paste and put them in my freezer. Then I just take them out and defreeze them, or sometimes I even use them frozen, to be honest with you. Just make sure to combine it really well with your rice. Make sure everything is coated and no more pieces of paste are visible. Once everything is well combined, in comes the liquid. And here is my little cup again. I'm gonna use the same cup that I used to measure the rice to add 2 cups of that of chicken broth. And I said 2 cups of that because even though I have 2 cups in my measuring cup, when I'm done with the liquid, you can see that I still have left half a cup of broth in my measuring cup. So whatever you use to measure the rice, use to measure the water. I added some vegetables and I poke a little jalapeño and add it to my pot. As soon as it starts boiling, lower the temperature and put the lid on. Then don't mess with it for 15 minutes. Remove your pan from the heat and with a fork just make sure that there's no water left in the bottom of the pan. Then fluff it up and we're gonna use a tea towel to cover the lid and put that back on. And again, forget about it for 10 minutes. While my rice is resting is a perfect time to make the tomato sauce. I'm gonna bring my roasted ingredients into my food processor plus 1 cup of chicken broth. Blend that well and then pour over a hot pan with oil. Bring your sauce to a boil and once it's boiling, add your peppers. I recommend not overcrowding your pan. Make sure to cover them well and the heat of the sauce will help reheat your now cold peppers. Once they're ready, bring your plate with your rice and cover it with the silky sauce. Make sure to have some warm tortillas at the ready because we are about to eat. Let's give it a try. I have here my freshly made tortillas, and this is how you would normally have it. So let's grab a piece of my tortilla. Let's start with the end. A little bit of rice and your pepper. You can see it right there. It is very, very good. And for the most part, because we deseeded and deveined them, it is not gonna be very spicy. Sometimes you may get the stubborn pepper that's still a little bit spicy, but because of the coating and the sauce and whatever you serve it next to, it's not gonna be a problem if you have friends that don't eat or loved ones that don't eat spicy food. Like I said, it's a very every other day dish that I hope you give it a try. And if you liked it, just like this video, please share, like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.